Great. So, welcome everyone. It's great to be part of this initiative. And I am going to, in half an hour, I don't have much time, but I want to share with you some tips, some practices, and I want to do that also by showing you some information which I think will help you in your choices about what to do. So we're going to divide up the session into three parts. Firstly, something about digital balance. I mean, this is more important now than it ever was as we work from home. And I just want to say, you know, I don't live in a cave. I worked in corporate. I understand we have to use these devices and they're more important now than ever before, but we need to understand the balance and the science behind them. Secondly, some exercises for shoulders and neck, because I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a bit stiff myself and I practice yoga quite regularly. So we'll do some of that. That'll be part 2, and part 3 we'll just talk about sleep. So I'm going to just put my presentation on. Hopefully you can see that. I want to talk about this idea of digital balance. It's incredibly important right now, as I said, when we're having to work from home a lot more. And there's been a lot of research recently about what actually devices are doing to us. Very important to understand that. Very important to really be clear about how they're affecting. I mean, we know that devices can help us work, but are they actually affecting our minds? So there are some issues, of course, mental, emotional, and physical. We're going to look at all those fairly briefly. But first, I want to really ask you the question: do you ever feel like you can't switch off? I mean, the stats are frankly quite worrying, actually. 1 in 3 people will get up in the middle of the night and check their phone. 1 in 3 teenagers will do the same. So if we look at our minds first, how many times do we touch our phones a day? I mean, some data was collected a couple of years ago, which suggested that, in fact, we touch our phones on average 2,500 times a day. So that's 1 million times a year. And that was actually a couple of years ago. So I'm sure it's increased from then. So then I started looking at the work of this guy called Professor Adam Antler, who's a business and psychology professor. And he was looking at screen-based industries, and it really became quite interesting to understand how much time we're actually spending on our screens. And so really the way to look at this and understand it was to look at the day, a typical work day. So actually over the last 10 years or so, the average 24-hour workday hasn't changed that much. So 7 or 8 hours sleep, 7 or 8 hours work and commute, 3 hours survival time. That means things like eating, bathing, looking after kids. And this area on the end, the white space, is incredibly important. That is where the magic happens. That's where our humanity lives, where our individuality is forged. When people look back on their lives, they say, actually, that was the time I remember. For some people, it's work. For some people, it's others. So the white space is where the magic happens. So we began to look at actually how much technology is encroaching on the white space. And I think this graph speaks for itself. So back in 2017, you can see the red area is how much tech we're using in our white space. So our humanity lives in that little yellow box, and that's it. So if that's the case, I began to ask myself, well, actually, you know, is the technology, is our screen-based technology, mobiles in particular, is that empowering us or is it making us feel worse? So I found some research that basically showed that actually on these kind of apps, people were feeling happy and they were spending on average 9 minutes a day. Then on these kind of apps, we had a different picture: social media, web browsing, news, dating, gaming, 27 minutes a day, 3 times as much time, but people were feeling less happy. People were feeling unhappy. So the results are somewhat counterintuitive. And why is that? Well, it's because of our bottomless consumption of media. News feeds just rolling on, messages just rolling on. Now, last century, we had something called stopping cues. So the 20th century, stopping cues were baked into everything we did. And this meant that when we read a book, we'd finish the chapter and put it down. When we opened a newspaper, we'd read it, fold it, put it away. When we watched a TV program, we'd finish the episode and wait next week until the next episode was shown. This doesn't happen today. It's just a constant feed, constant reading. I then looked at some research that the government in the UK had done on immersive and addictive technologies, looking at social media and gaming. They stopped short of saying that we're actually addicted because that has clinical connotations. It really became more about dependence. And some of the conclusions are very interesting, that companies should share their data. Is user engagement free will? and this thing about design responsibility. And you may hear more about this coming up. This idea that some of the top social media companies have what are known as attention engineers. What do they know that we don't? How are they manipulating our attention? Then I began to look at actually the effects really on our mental faculties, this idea of cognitive offload, which has been mentioned. So impacts on focus, this idea of fragmented attention, memory, and the myth of multitasking. So really the idea that perhaps by using our phones and devices too much, we're losing our focus. We can't concentrate on long tasks. A lot of studies on that. This idea that we have the attention span of a goldfish, about 9 seconds, widely reported. Multitasking, it's a myth, I'm afraid to say. The idea that you can open a document, compose an email, be looking at social media and watching a YouTube video at the same time, it doesn't work. Actually, it makes you feel like you're more productive than you are, so it's even more dangerous. I began looking at the science behind this as well. I think this is interesting. We know about the idea that dopamine is basically the anticipated reward, and that's often used by a lot of social media companies, but also the way we look at news, the novelty bias. We're always looking for something new rather than focusing on what's in front of us. This idea of intermittent reinforcement, the behavioral psychology of getting messages, of getting likes, and this idea of FOMO. Yes, it is actually in the English dictionary, fear of missing out. So all these concepts really combine to make unhealthy practices. What about our emotions? We looked at our mind and our mental faculties. What about our emotions? Well, there's been a decline in empathy according to a lot of studies, and maybe out of this crisis we'll see an increase in empathy. But the research is actually slightly unclear because it was happening before 2000. This idea of phubbing, I don't know if you've ever seen this term, it came out of Kent University research, and it's about snubbing someone while on your phone. Very interesting concept. And this idea of emotional contagion, Facebook ran some experiments some while ago. They got criticized for trying to work out whether social media actually made us feel happier or not. The jury was out. So anyway, there's the data, there's some science. So what do we actually do to encourage better practices? Well, this idea of stepping back, maybe harder now than it was given our current circumstances, but really creating some divides. Now, we can't detox, we can't cut out technology, but we can introduce some boundaries, and these are very important. Now, I understand, of course, that some of you are going to be restricted in where you can move, but this idea of immersion in nature is very important and seen very much as a brilliant antidote towards reliance on technology. The Japanese have a term for it, Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, and this deals with reductions, and science has shown actually that it actually can yield reductions in cortisol, pulse rate, blood pressure, and sympathetic nervous system activity. So one thing I really want you to take away with you is this idea of stopping cues, and I mentioned it before. So stopping cues are really about building into your routine over the course of the day, periods when you're away from your technology. Now, if I were to say to you, don't look at tech from 5 to 6 p.m., that wouldn't really make any sense because 5 to 6 p.m. can look different on any day. Instead, what I'm going to suggest to you is don't have your phone near you. Don't look at your phone while you're eating meals. Here we see a guy with his phone on the table. This is the point. We want to try and discourage phone use in that period. You may then build it up to practices like for the first half an hour or hour of the day, not looking at your phone. Working habits, if you've got a detailed report to do, move the phone away from the computer, out of sight. Even having your phone in sight can actually encourage distraction. General habits, turning notifications off, ringtone off, can actually help in downtime. Meditation to regain focus. Well, I would say that. I mean, I teach meditation, but it's absolutely clinically been proven now, scientifically validated, that meditation can increase focus. And because the brain has this quality called neuroplasticity, you can increase your abilities here. And finally, sleep protocol, very, very important. I think this is probably the most important thing I want to impress upon you, the idea that you don't take your phone in the bedroom at night. Very important. Sleep with your phone outside the bedroom, even if your alarm is on your phone. What about our bodies? Well, it's helpful for you to see this, but there's a lot of neck problems associated with overuse of mobile. Particularly here, this diagram I think is really interesting. So if we're not using our phones in a more mindful, conscious way, we can increase the load on our neck. And I'm going to show you some exercises in a minute that will help you correct that. Fingers and thumbs, yes. Again, we'll do some exercises to release those, but excessive use can cause problems here. Hygiene, well, we're in a different world now, but of course, before, important to clean your phone often because it can pick up germs. And excessive blue light, yes, we come down to this idea of sleep and technology again. Overuse of phones late at night can disrupt the production of melatonin from the pineal gland. So again, I would suggest not using your phone for an hour or so before you go to sleep. So now for some exercises. So I'm going to come back to the screen. Hopefully it should be quite straightforward. Can you all see me now? Yeah, everyone, can someone just give me a message to tell me that they can see me because I've gone back to the screen? Yeah, you can see me. Great. Okay, excellent. So now you got me. So now we're going to do some exercises. So first of all, neck. I don't know about you, but my neck is absolutely stiff as a board at the moment, and I'm practicing yoga. So I want to show you some really great neck exercises. So first of all, take your right hand and pull your head over to the right hand side. Okay. I want you to, first of all, just to make sure you're sitting up straight in the chair. Maybe just come forward a bit in the chair too. So your hand comes to the left ear and you're pulling your head over towards the right hand side. Okay. So I don't want you to be too slumped. I don't want you to be too upright, just sitting up straight. So immediately you should feel this lovely opening down this side of the neck. Okay. So we're just going to hold here. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Now I'm going to take the left hand, I'm going to come underneath the chair, and maybe if you can hold on to something, and it's just going to give you a bit of an anchor. We're just going to pull a bit further over to the right. So now you're going to feel it coming over a little bit more. You feel the stretch deepen down. Okay, I'll try and make my screen bigger. Hang on, let me see how I do that. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so right, now let's move over to the other side. Okay, now coming back to the center, this time take left hand, pull head over to the left, and immediately feel that opening down the shoulders. Yeah, you can feel it down the inside. Loosening up. So just tune into your breathing here as well. These exercises, really, I recommend people literally do them every day, every morning. So breathing in through the nose again and out through the mouth. Good. Now take up the right hand again. Right hand comes under the seat. So just holding on to something under the chair, just pull a little bit further. Now, I don't need to feel any pain here. It's not the idea that we feel pain when we stretch. The idea really is that we feel a bit of an ache, a bit of tension. So no sharp pain. It's not a workout, and certainly no electrical pain, which would be nerve. So let's just stay here for one more breath. Inhale and exhale. Now come to the middle. Now we're just going to rotate the neck, just slightly slowly, small circles to begin with. So the key thing here really is actually just to go slowly. Now we make the circles slightly bigger. So chin comes to chest, head comes back, moving all the way around. We may hear a few clicks and crunches, that's all good. So now come back to the middle. Now let's go the other way. So head coming forward and back. And begin to think where your neck feels the tightest, where is the point of most discomfort. And then I want you to find that point, wherever it is, and just hold it for a moment and breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And then bring the head back to center. Great. Final neck stretch. Hands on the back of the head. Clasp the hands behind the head. Now bring the elbows together and just gently tuck the chin to the chest. And pretty much immediately you're going to feel a stretch, this time coming down into your shoulders, the lower base of the neck. If you want to take this a little bit further, increase the duration of the inhale. So breathing in more deeply and out more deeply. In more deeply And out more deeply. Final breath in. And breath out. Good. Gently release your hands. Now we're going to come into some shoulder stretches. So the first one, really, again, make sure that you're sitting in a nice upright position. Maybe come forward on the chair. Now, I just want you to roll the shoulders. So just forward. And again, this is about a slow, mindful movement. It's not about rushing it. It's about feeling your way into the body. In yoga, we actually talk about an awareness of body, where we begin to listen to the language of the body as we move. So really, if you're looking at yourself in a mirror, or really what should be happening is it's just your shoulders that should be moving. So really getting into some nice movement. Okay, now we'll go the other direction, rolling in the other direction. Backwards, forwards this time. Good, one more. Okay, now I want you to bring your hands to your lap, and then I want you to just rotate your hands outwards. So your hand should be just at the bottom of your lap. Hopefully you can all see me. Yeah, can you see what I'm doing? Someone just okay. So now I want you to just bring your arms back like that and forward. So now we're moving into the back of the shoulders. A bit more. Yeah, is that better? Okay, good. So back and forward. Back and forward. So really coming now into the back of the shoulder blades should feel quite nice. And forward. Back and forward. Back and forward. Great. Okay. Come back to the beginning. Now bring your arms up, over above your head. Clasp your hands together. And now just bring your arms down. Bring them up again on the inhale and down on the exhale. Up on the inhale and down on the inhale. On the exhale. Up on the inhale, down on the inhale. Now I want you to grab your phone if you've got it handy and take your phone like this. So basically we're holding it and shoulders and elbows are up in this position. Then I want you to twist to the left-hand side and head moves as well. Come back to center, twist to right-hand side. Come back to center, twist to left-hand side. Come back to center, twist to right-hand side. Come back to center, twist to left-hand side. Come back to center, twist to right-hand side. And then back to the middle. Great. Okay, we're now done with shoulders. Finally, we're going to do wrists now, very important. So bring your left hand forward, take your right hand and stretch your fingers. Now just be careful here. Maybe you'll find this a bit intense on the hand, or you may be feeling it just in here on the inside of the wrist muscle. Be your own judge. It's not about pushing yourself. It's about working into tension slowly. So as we find this position, we breathe in, out. Probably really feeling some relief inside that hand now. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Good. Now let's switch over. So now we'll bring the right arm forward, pulling fingers back. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Maybe feeling it more in the wrist on this side. Breathing in and out. Good. Now let's work the other side. So I'm going to bring my left hand up and I'm just going to pull my hand towards me. So I'm going to feel a bit of a stretch this time on the outside of the left wrist. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Now swap over, this time right hand forward, pulling down the right hand, breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. One more breath in and out. Final stretch for the wrist, just bring your hands together and we'll just rotate the wrist. Can you hear them click and crunch? Yeah, good. It's doing its work. One way and then the other way. Great. Okay, so that's the stretch session finished. I'm going to show you a little film on sleep, which I put together. First of all, I just want to tell you that sleep is incredibly important, more for brain function than anything else. That's the research at the moment. So if you feel like you want to maximize your brain capacity at the moment, then get as much sleep as you can. Also, a few vital sleep tips for you. Stay properly hydrated throughout the day, very important. Eat breakfast within 30 minutes of getting up, very important for the sleep as well. Try and do 20 minutes of exercise. Try and get outside. No caffeine after 4 p.m. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. And try and get a couple of early nights a week. So now I'm going to show you a sleep film, which I put together with some friends of mine, which will hopefully help you understand why yoga can really assist you on this journey. Now let's go back into my screen share. I'm Stephen Marsh. Should be now. Can you hear it? Sleep TV. You can hear it. Okay. My intention so it's on now. I'm channel together is to help you on your sleep journey. I've got full screen on. Many of us have problems in falling asleep. Thanks. Thank you. Bye. I'm drawing on some simple and engaging techniques that will help you on your sleep journey. I've put together what I believe are the very best voices in wellness, and I'm giving you practical solutions and using science and AI. But that's ancient intelligence, artificial intelligence. There are 3 stages to the guided meditation. The first is really a relaxation of the body. Second, using some breathing, we can induce a further state of calm. And finally, direct your attention into various parts of the body, essentially relaxing and distracting the mind. So the guided meditations help you rest and relax. And this is very important in the sleep journey, toning down the mind, because we're all overstimulated. So having a frantic, active mind becomes the norm. So first we need to turn the volume down. Now, after several years of teaching, I've essentially concluded 2 things about guided meditations, which I'm going to share with you. The first is the introduction of the storytelling technique, which we've lost, I think, in modern day. In older times, we would have sat around fires, listened to stories as a precursor to going to sleep. So I wanted to bring in. I couldn't get the sleep film done aspects in my meditations. The second aspect really involves the use of music. Thank you for joining. That's very kind. Because music has the ability to stretch time. Music has a healing quality.
I'm Dr. Narina Ramlakhan. I'm a sleep expert, a physiologist and an author. I've spent over 25 years helping people to sleep. There is an incredible amount of intelligence that's built into the design of our sleep, or the architecture of our sleep. I am trained as a Western scientist, but I've also the Eastern sciences of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, and what they have taught me is that every segment of our sleep has a different type of intelligence. It repairs, it heals the body on a different level. Having worked with thousands of people over the years and helped them to sleep, and having spent 10 years working in psychiatry, I have learnt that sometimes our beliefs about sleep can in themselves be so unhelpful. They in themselves stop us sleeping. So I'd like to share with you a few beliefs, or if you like, myths and misconceptions, which may be sabotaging your sleep. Our electronic devices are amazing, there's no doubt about it. I love my phone, I love my laptop, but they have made me very busy when it comes to sleep, because far too many people are over-relying on their devices to help them to get to sleep. So here's just a few things which will really help to deepen and nourish your sleep so you feel more energized in the mornings. Just a few healthier habits with technology.
I'm Natalie Morrison. I'm a yoga and meditation teacher. And I discovered yoga and meditation when I was in my teens, actually, and I had a lot of anxiety around that time. And I really connected with those practices as a way of managing stress and of helping me to sleep better. I kept them up throughout my corporate career and really found that what it helped particularly with in terms of sleep was the fact that I used to lie awake at night quite a lot, and I used to plan and try and control all the different scenarios that might happen the next day or in the future at some point. And I found that meditation really helped me to let go of the need to do that, to feel a lot calmer in myself and just a lot more resilient and able to handle whatever life throws at me. So what I'd like to share with you is a morning meditation practice. When we practice meditation in the morning, it really helps to set up the neural pathways in the brain for the rest of the day. And it really helps us to concentrate better and also to really face our lives with a sense of strength and resiliency, empathy and gratitude.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm a yoga and martial arts instructor. I've been training in martial arts and yoga for a number of years. I enjoy the yogic practice for many reasons. It's very calming in effect. It's very dynamic, but also very calming and relaxing at the same time. One of the major benefits is to help get a good night's sleep. So helping to calm the nervous system. If you do yoga in the morning, it's going to help you to set up your day, loosen up your body, feel a bit more centered and focused, so you can deal with daily situations, maybe with a little bit more of a clearer mind.
My name is Christopher Babiodi. I'm a travel wellness and jet lag specialist. I spent 20 years working for British Airways on long-haul and short-haul routes, traveling to over 45 countries and covering over 1.2 million miles. I'm here to tell you that if you want to manage your jet lag and your sleep quite specifically, you need to find yourself a lifestyle type of solution. The fundamentals I offer people who ask me how to manage this revolve around the environment, entrainment, and acclimatization. Environment, this includes your biochemistry, as well as the environment of the plane or the hotel room where you find yourself. Your biochemistry relates to what you put in your body and the fact that you need to remain hydrated as much as possible at all times. When it comes to entrainment, this is the fact that you've taken off from point A, where it's the afternoon, and you're landing at point B, where it's night. There's a mismatch there between your internal body clock and the body clock you find yourself in. The easiest and quickest way to actually manage that is to raise your core temperature, because exercise, even if it's light exercise, will help you do this. Acclimatization is the idea that you want to get on local time as soon as possible. As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as Romans do. So if it's daylight outside, go outside into the daylight, interact with people.
Just to say thank you very much for being in the session, and you can follow me on LinkedIn. Stay healthy and look after yourself. Thanks.